Have you ever been sewing along and you hear this? Here, something is just not right with your sewing machine. Now, I've actually switched my bobbin thread to the white bobbin that came with the machine. We're going to talk tension for just a little bit. You know, tension gets blamed for so many things, and it's really not always the tension's fault. You use poor quality thread, then sometimes the machine just can't handle where that thread has kind of some thick and thin lines. As those small, short fibers are twisted together, it's often kind of fluffy and things. If the machine hasn't been cleaned for a while or serviced annually at your local Bernina dealer, things can all go wrong very quickly. But tension gets blamed. And I have to say, tension's one of the last things that I blame. I check my thread, I check the needle, make sure it's a newer needle. Clean my machine, oil my machine, all those things first before I go messing with the tension dial. Now, you heard something happen with the machine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. We're going to see what's going on the back side of this fabric here. We are going to see a ton of green thread. Like I said, I switched to white bobbin thread, so you'll know that it was not happening, or I should say, when people usually look at this, they think it's their bobbin thread because it's on the back side. Being that we have green thread in our needle, we can tell immediately that this is happening from the top thread. What I actually had to do was kind of fake the machine out, but what my thread is not in is the tension disc up above here. And here's how we're going to know whether we have threaded the machine correctly or not. I'm going to go ahead and get that back I'm going to just rethread it. That's going to make everything better anyway. Sometimes I'll hold the thread up top here, and then as I bring it down, I'm making sure that those tension discs, the thread goes all the way down in there. That means that your presser foot must be up for these to actually be open to accept the thread. So as we continue to thread, we're going to go all the way down, up to the take-up lever, in through here, guides. We'll press your foot down. Now at the end, that's when you can lower it down. That's to help with the needle threader and make it super easy. When we're ready to test whether we have the proper threading, this is how you can do it. With your presser foot up, you'll notice you can pull the top thread very easily through the needle. As soon as you lower that presser foot down, when the thread is properly seated in the tension disc, this thread becomes very tight, and you can almost see the needle moving as you pull it. And that's the way to test. So that's one way to know whether you have actually threaded correctly and have tension on your machine. Now, when you have two different colors of thread in your machine, you may find that sometimes the thread kind of pulls to the top side. Like you see some of the bobbin thread up top, and that's something that you don't want to do. I'm going to kind of force that issue by tightening the top tension, and we'll have it so that the white thread is actually kind of coming to the top side. Again, hard to see when you're actually working on fabric that is the same color of your thread. But when you're doing some decorative stitches, if you see that coming to the top side, that means your thread on the top is too tight, and that's where you're going to loosen the tension. It's okay to touch this dial. We often have people come into our store, and we're talking little people with little fingers, like to roll dials because it's fun. And they will roll this back and forth, and it's no big deal. But one thing that you want to do is when you change your tension to adjust for maybe a different way to thread in your needle and your bobbin, is don't just change it a little bit. That's not going to do anything. Change it like a whole number, a number and a half worth, to really see if you're actually going to change, if you're changing anything. As you look at your fabric sample after you've changed it, if you don't see any changes, change it again. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe you don't remember which way to go. So turn it the other way and see if it gets any better. If you're finding it's not getting any better, guess what? It is probably not a tension issue. So put that right back to the red line and rethread the machine. Check your bobbin, check your needle, see if it needs to be cleaned, and that will usually solve your issue. So check or touch your tension last, but really leave that at that red line. That's one thing nice that we have with the Bernina machines. We have a place to reset our tension at all times.